much too complex, much too complex, too complex, too complex, too complex.
Good evening. My name is James K. Holder II. Some of you may know me as Sir James II, and I'd like to welcome you back to Not On My Watch. As always, I'd like to ask you to subscribe, like, comment, and share. I want you to retweet this and repeat this. If you're watching, today is Wednesday, August 27th, 2017, and good news, Cardi B's Bodak Yellow, her hit, is now #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Why is this important? This is important because Cardi B is like, it's funny, she's like a phenomenon, right? She's like really a movement in and of herself. Beautiful young lady. She sort of rose to fame on VH1's Love and Hip Hop. And I kind of only knew her through meme culture. Like, I never really watched that show, so I would just watch like GIFs or see like sort of comments that she would make or things that she would say. And she always had these great sound bites. And so now it's kind of great that she has a hit out. An online viral supportive community came together and helped her make that hit go #1. And I think it's important for a number of reasons. One, it's not easy to have a #1 hit for anybody. Number two, it's important because she's only the second female artist to have a #1 rap song as a solo artist. So this makes her, and that was the last time that happened was like 19 years ago with Lauryn Hill. This also, I think, only makes her the 9th female artist, period, to have a #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. So congratulations to you, Cardi B, and the Barty Gang, and all the other stuff that's going on. If you have not been following this story, I advise you to do so. Follow her on Twitter, follow her on Instagram specifically. You know, it's one of those things where it's really just good to still watch that good things are happening to people who work hard. And of course, with the success comes a lot of sort of detractors. You have a lot of people saying different things, and I'll let you find out what they're saying, but I just think I'm happy to see her doing well, her enjoying her success and just living it up as an individual. And as a woman, that's just fantastic. So congratulations to you, Cardi B. Other good news, or so it would seem, is that at least as for now, the Affordable Care Act is safe. As you know, for weeks, I've been begging you all to call your senators, call your representatives, and to try to make sure, actually, is this on? Oh, it is recording. At least for now, the Affordable Care Act is safe. For weeks, I've been asking you to call your senators and make sure that your reps are informed about your opposition to the Graham-Cassidy bill, which was an attempt to appeal Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. This bill, according to the CBO, would have thrown at least 30 million Americans off of their health insurance. It would have ultimately bankrupted Medicaid. It really obviously was not the direction that we're trying to go as a country. Now, there was a lot of specific political motivation behind this repeal attempt. And it had to do with the fact that the Republicans effectively only had a short window. They still have time now. They have until September 30th, so that's 3 calendar days from now, and a lot can happen in 3 days, just ask Jesus Christ, that something dead can arise in 3 days. And I think it's important for us to, one, be sort of encouraged by the fact that our activism and our diligence and the resistance came together and caused something good to happen. But we cannot ignore the past. That the GOP has a huge motivation to get some kind of repeal effort to a vote by Saturday night. We've seen them do overnight bills. We've seen them do stuff at the cloak of midnight, under the cloak of darkness. We've seen them do it. This happened last time. We've seen them fly people in on private jets and wine and dine and get people to try to vote. We've seen them go as far as to try to take individual states off of, change this particular bill so that individual states like Alaska that had opposing GOP senators to sort of effectively stay on Obamacare and repeal it for the rest of the country to get that person to vote. I mean, I think it's just they are unscrupulous, and what they will go through to get their way is just sort of, there's no holds barred. So what has been said is that if they did not repeal this particular legislation, if Obamacare remains in effect into next year, then the Koch brothers will essentially rescind all funding for 2018, which means they're in a mess of trouble coming into the midterm elections next year. Now, do I believe anything the Koch brothers say? No. I think they'll still fund them regardless, because who are they going to fund? The Koch brothers got to have a dog in the fight somewhere. Also, I think that the Republicans, what many of us have sort of done, or many of you rather, because I didn't do this, have taken the word of Mitch McConnell, who says now there will be no vote in the Senate on Graham Cassidy. Now, is that what that means? I don't know. We'll see. I think the Republicans will say anything, and they always have a strategy. They always have a plan B. And at the point that that announcement came out, that was yesterday. So they still had a full 4 days to come up with something else. And with unlimited money and 4 days, I think they can come up with something. So we need to be on the lookout. We need to remain vigilant. Do not sort of rest on your laurels now. Do not just take anything for granted. Just assume the worst and be ready to act, because I just believe truly that something bad potentially can still happen. So, but at least for now, it would appear that the Affordable Care Act is safe through the remainder of the year. And so the important thing that we have to focus on now is making sure that, because the Trump administration, one thing that they have done to undermine and further weaken the Affordable Care Act is to completely eliminate the funding budget, or the budget to promote this law, promote this service, and get people to know that when the enrollment period begins. So the enrollment period, if I'm not mistaken, it has been shortened for this year. And I will have it on screen when that is. I believe it's November 1st. I think there's only a 30-day enrollment window, or it's potentially, I think it's November 1st through December 15th. You have about 6 weeks. Don't quote me on that, or maybe quote me if it's on the screen. But there's a shortened window for people to sign up for the Affordable Care Act, and also, or on the healthcare marketplace. And you have to make sure that you are telling people about it. A lot of our plans, if I'm on the Affordable, I got a plan on the exchange. A lot of the plans that existed for 2017 will not exist in 2018. Some of the insurance providers in certain states may not exist in 2018. And so you have to be sort of in the mindset of now looking for a replacement plan once that service opens up. And so keep that in mind. Moving along, I did want to briefly talk about just sort of, obviously, the kneeling and the football stories, because there's two main things that are going on, and they're somewhat related, but just to kind of get it out of the way. We all know that Colin Kaepernick famously started the kneeling before or during the singing of the national anthem at football games. Then he was fired, essentially, or let go from his team, and has not worked since, even though we know there are far less talented people who play his position playing this year in football. So, but that's neither here nor there. So over the weekend, there was a rally that Trump had. For some reason, he's still doing rallies in Alabama, where he effectively called anyone who kneels down, he was talking about the black football players, calling them sons of bitches, and saying that they should be fired, and all kind of other stuff, for disrespecting the flag and disrespecting vets. Now, this is someone who has claimed to raise money for vet services, and then has not given that money to those services, or charities. This is someone who has mimicked and mocked and attacked Gold Star families This is someone who has no respect for the flag, no respect for the Constitution, no respect for the office of the presidency, and yet he wants to condemn and judge others, specifically black people, on how they should comport themselves on a field or anywhere else. So you've seen this sort of bubbling over, this outrage about kneeling as a response to Trumpism. That is sort of a way that it has evolved, and now people are being sort of more vigilant in that way by taking that posture. Now, that's going to go the way that it's going to go. You've got comments from everyone from, my favorite was LeBron James. I think LeBron James said it all. But you had the disimitation of the, and forgive me because I don't do sports, the Golden State Warriors, which is Stephen Curry's team. And then you had him saying, Trump saying he disinvited them to the White House, but Curry's like, we weren't going to go anyway. And now, of course, LeBron James calls him a bum. And it's interesting because you have a scenario where all of these people are being held to a completely different standard. There is a double standard in the United States, and it's been there, but now you're seeing it. And it's frustrating because black people aren't allowed to just walk away from this scenario. We have to be participatory in what's going on. Let's talk about the other side of this standard, because this is what has gotten me sort of riled up over the last couple days. It's been said that Peyton Manning is considering running for the Senate, for a seat in Tennessee. And I'm just kind of like, who? Like, this person is not a politician. This person does not have a career in public life at all. I mean, obviously he's famous and rich and a white man, but then beyond that, what is your qualification to be a senator? One of 100 people representing our country. Now, that's troubling. But more so troubling is the fact that this man has been accused of sexual harassment. I mean, and you have this whole sordid story and details of this man while he was a student athlete at the University of Tennessee, go Vols. I mean, as the legend has it, sitting on the face of a female trainer. Then, to compound that, he lies about it, well, allegedly lies about it, allegedly sitting on the face of. This woman, has been terrorized, leaves, goes somewhere else. Peyton writes a book about it, and then calls her out as having a potty mouth. Now, he's basically just levying, like, attacks on her character. This follows her to her new job. She's left University of Tennessee. She's now somewhere in Florida trying to do the same job, trying to move on with her life. And this man writes a book, and it all comes back out, and it relitigates the whole thing. Now, the major source on this, because this story has kind of ebbed and flowed, and since like the mid-90s, this story has been there and has come back and it's recirculated and gained new legs and new life. And undoubtedly, if this person does run for a Senate seat, it will come back up. Now, we're discussing a pattern within certain realms, if you will, of sort of celebrity and power, where white men are just absolved of certain crimes. You've got Peyton Manning, who is allowed to, have his own life. And that's one thing. I mean, let's take everything out of it. We should not be considering electing public officials to the House or the Senate to executive positions like mayor or governor if you have a record of violence, if you have a record of sexual harassment. If you have body slammed people, you should not be getting elected to serve in office. If you have pussy grabbed people, if you have pending rape charges, you should not be under consideration to be the president of the United States, to be a governor, to be a senator at all. It shouldn't even be up. It shouldn't even be floated around. And that's where we are with this sort of confluence of football and politics and white male privilege. There is this ability for And this happens with black males too. When it comes to the sexual assault charges, some of them get away with it, you know, but with this, it's terrible because O.J. Simpson and Michael B. Jordan and who else? Let me see. Who else has been accused? There's been many. These people aren't running to be president. They might try later, but they're not now. So Peyton Manning, I mean, come on, dude. Like, Kid Rock. And not to say that Kid Rock has any charges on him or anything. But Kid Rock, to be a senator, I mean, what is your qualification? I think at some point, if your only qualification is being white and male and popular, where are we going in this country? Where is the leadership taking us if you don't have to have any abilities that uniquely suit you to serve as one of 100 people or one of 538 people serving this country or one of one in the presidency? We've got to get back to respecting those offices and the qualifications that are required to do a good job. Which brings me to more pop culture and football of all things. Now, we know last week Jay-Z turned down the offer to perform at the Super Bowl. Now, I don't know why Jay-Z turned this down. Maybe it was just sort of not wanting to be another opportunity for Beyonce to make a cameo at the Super Bowl, because we know we hate when Beyonce is at the Super Bowl. Or, yeah, but look at the performance from Lady Gaga. And Lady Gaga fans will say that was a great performance. You know, I was expecting something else, I'll say that. But kudos to Lady Gaga. You have a new special on Netflix, and I will probably watch that at some point in time. It's called 5'2". But I want to talk about Justin Timberlake, because Justin Timberlake was the backup offer for the Super Bowl for next year. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Justin Timberlake was involved in a major scandal with one Janet Jackson. Janet Demita Jo Jackson, who was essentially exiled to Bahrain after having her wardrobe malfunction. Now, this act changed television. On the, what was that, the 2004 Super Bowl, Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake performed together. They sang, what was it, Rock Your Body was the song Justin was performing, and then the line, I'm gonna have you naked by the end of this song, and then there was the nipple with the pasty and all this stuff. Janet gets barred from television, exiled, at the height of her career. Now you gotta remember, Janet Jackson had a string of very, very lucrative albums. I mean, more than anybody else, really. She had Janet, I mean, even go all the way back. Control, Rhythm Nation, Janet, Velvet Rope, All For You. String, just string. Performance, chart performance, sales, airplay, radio, everything, videos. I mean, Janet Jackson was at the apex of her career, and All For You is a phenomenal album, and I believe that's well, no, I think she had gone on to, it was either Discipline or 20-Year-Old at that point. That was the album that was out around that time. But either way, we're talking about someone who is supremely famous and well-liked, who got the brunt of everything, and yet Justin Timberlake was allowed to go on merrily, with his day, with his life, had a very successful career after that, received much, much more success even after that incident, despite the fact that Janet Jackson was now being ostracized completely and blamed for everything. Now, the Super Bowl has the nerve to offer him to come perform at the Super Bowl specifically? I mean, really, what is that about? Like, I think if we're going to set a rule, if we're going to say this is how we're going to have some standard, something that's normal, and this is how we're going to all comport ourselves. I understand not inviting Janet Jackson back to the Super Bowl ever. But Justin fucking Timberlake? Excuse my French. I think that's too much. And at some point, we've got to start calling this stuff out. We've got to start acknowledging this double standard. at every turn because it's not going away. And the longer these things continue to happen, and yes, you might say, oh, it's just football, it's just the Super Bowl, these are major industries. These events change the way we all get opportunities to different things, and the way that we allow Janet Jackson to be castigated and thrown to the side and blamed for this whole thing is exactly what's wrong with our society now. Now, I'm not saying Janet Jackson was completely innocent. The jury's still out on what all happened there, but I just don't know. I don't know what the motivation is behind having Justin Timberlake of all people. And mind you, Justin Timberlake, he don't even have an album out right now. I mean, what was the last album he put out was the 2020 Experience. That was many years ago. So maybe he got something in the pipeline. I don't know. I haven't seen anything from Justin Timberlake recently, not to warrant him being a headliner at the Super Bowl. So you tell me. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm going to wrap this up by briefly talking about Hillary Clinton. Now, Hillary Clinton has been at the forefront of sort of this book tour. Over the last few weeks, she's sort of kind of reclaiming her time and coming back into the spotlight. She's done all these interviews, some good, some with really crappy people. And this, I at some point just stopped watching them because it was just like, it's just going to be the same thing over and over again. You're going to keep asking her the same stupid questions. You're going to keep asking her why she's blaming Bernie, why she doesn't take responsibility. And it seems like it's all coming from a place of people who didn't read the book yet. I'm still working on the book. I'm about halfway through. It's pretty good. But Anderson Cooper specifically pissed me off because I saw a clip of an interview he did with Hillary Clinton where he kind of harps on the whole you should let off Bernie angle. And, well, you blame Bernie, but Bernie campaigned for you, didn't he? Bernie didn't campaign for her in any effective way. This man, we all saw what happened in real time. So, Anderson, you're doing this double standard nonsense again. We're saying that Hillary Clinton, who in June, as soon as Barack Obama secured the nomination, 2 days later, this woman turned around, endorsed him, and was seen with him in public. She fought with her constituents, her supporters, to get them to work for him immediately up into the convention. Bernie Sanders did the exact polar opposite. And if Hillary Clinton had done to Barack Obama what Bernie Sanders did to Hillary Clinton, y'all would have burned her at the stake. And y'all know it. So stop with the exception for white men, that Bernie Sanders, by some virtue of him, oh, well, he gave you enough, he showed up, he did this, 2 months later, oh, well, he might have marched on your campaign, on your convention, but hell, he told people to vote for you, he endorsed you. Stop it. Stop. Hold these people to the same standards. And Bernie Sanders has never been held to the same standard as anybody else. So we need to start working on that. And we're not going to move forward. We're not going to get to a good place for 2018 if we don't hash this stuff out. So, I mean, Anderson, I want to like you, but the reality is you're dropping the ball consistently. You dropped the ball with Kathy Griffin. You dropped the ball with this interview with Hillary Clinton. And I'm old enough to remember when Barack Obama had his town hall with you, and you were up there trying to act like the Barack Obama in the 8th year of his presidency is going to take away their guns wasn't a conspiracy theory. I mean, specifically, it is a conspiracy theory, and we all know this now, right? But we're still talking about this whole Barack Obama's going to take our guns. He ain't even in office no more. They still keep using this same narrative of Barack Obama's going to take your guns. The Democrats are going to take your guns. We got to get off that because it's nonsense. I kind of want to bring this to a close with just a quote. This is an island sitting in the middle of the ocean, and it's a big ocean. It's a very big ocean. This is from the president, your president, because for me, we don't have a president. And in reference to the lack of aid and attention given to Puerto Rico. Now you're talking about 7 days passed before this man did a press conference, before he gave as much as a tweet about Puerto Rico. it wasn't until Hillary Clinton came out and started really just trolling him and saying, okay, this vessel can provide these resources for American people in Puerto Rico. Send it, do this. She's giving him directions to be a leader for us in our time of need. And now this Puerto Rico, this Hurricane Maria, I mean, this is coming on the heels of several other amazingly terrible natural disasters that have caused devastation all throughout the United States, whether it's Harvey in Houston, whether it's Irma in Florida, and now Maria and Jose. It has just been sheer devastation, and just some of where we are now. I mean, this is as of within the last 24 hours. We're talking about 1.5 million people in Puerto Rico are without clean drinking water. You're talking about only 11 of the 69 hospitals have fuel or power. This is America. I mean, we have got to get past the petty tweets and the petty nonsense and come together and unite and do something for American people. It's really devastating and heartbreaking at this point. And I really wish we could get past these distractions of Donald Trump. This person is not a president. This person is not a leader. This person is not here to help anyone in the geographic or otherwise borders of the United States. And so this is my call to you out there. Do what you can to help somebody else in this particular time of need. We all bound together over the last few weeks and made calls to our senators and reps, and we had change and we had power there. There was power in what our actions were and what our words were. Now we have to do more. We can't just go back to resting anymore. That time is over. So I'm asking you, donate to the Houston Food Bank. Donate to Feeding South Florida. Donate to One America Appeal. Now that is the combined efforts of every living president of the United States, every living former president of the United States. And they have already combined efforts to form hurricane relief efforts for all of those areas impacted within the last hurricane season. And so I just want to, again, tell you about my fundraiser, the Headshots for Hunger. If you donate $100 to any of those 3 organizations, benefiting any of those 3 locations that have been devastated by hurricanes in the past few months, I will give you a free headshot session here. You can find out more information about that at headshots4hunger.com or email headshots4hunger@gmail.com. You can also, follow me on Instagram or Twitter @JKH2 for more information about that. But that's just a good program. If you do $100 to either of those organizations, I'll give you a free headshot session with 2 retouch photos. If you do $250 or more donated to those organizations, you'll get a free group or family photo session. That comes with 5 retouch photos. So this is just my small way of trying to help and raise $10,000 to help all the people impacted in the last hurricane season. I ask you all to just give, donate, support, do what you can to help somebody else. If you're able, if you're in a position to, if you have time to volunteer, that's also good and appreciated. With that, I'd like to, as always, I want you to thank our friends to the show. You can become a friend to the show by donating $1 or more to www.paypal.me/JKH2. Of course, every week I will shout you out on this show. If you donate $100 or more, as one of our anonymous donors did this week, you will become a producer-level sponsor of my other show, The Counter, which is can be seen at www.thecountertv.com. And episode 3 of that show will be up tomorrow, I promise. I'm working on it. This episode specifically focuses on bad weather, and it's kind of a cute theme of some of my friends who evacuated Irma, the path of Irma in Florida. And so we kind of have fun about it, but we talk about sort of different ways that you can prepare for disasters at home and other things you can do to help other people if you find yourself facing that disaster. And so look forward to that. Check out episode 3. I want to thank Barry G of New York for continually supporting the show. Always appreciated. And as always, I would like to ask you to relax, relate, and resist. Thank you. Wrapping up our first shoot. This is the first shoot for Headshots for Hunger to benefit Harvey victims. Tim, why don't you tell me a little bit about like what motivates you to get involved in?
Currently, I live in New York, and it seems almost a world away, and it's really easy to be complacent and say, you know, let's just wait for the news cycle to turn one time, and you know, all these images will be out of sight, out of mind. When it comes to the pain that people are going through, the physical loss, the loss of family members, those things never go away for those people. And this is really just a small way for me to get involved, and I could honestly we could all do way more. I appreciate you for vetting this particular charity and giving us a place where we can put our money, where we know that it's going to go to people who really need it, and that's people who are hungry in a time like this.